Now, Saudi Arabia and Russia were at odds for decades, but now the two oil superpowers want to deepen their ties. Saudi Arabia describes King Salman's visit to Moscow as historic. It is the first official visit there by a Saudi king. Now, the two countries will create a $1 billion fund to invest in energy projects. That includes deals on a liquefied natural gas project in Russia and building petrochemical plants in both countries. Riyadh is also keen on expanding its list of arms suppliers beyond the United States. King Salman is expected to sign the country's first arms contract with Russia in a deal worth $3.5 billion. Saudi Arabia and Russia were both seen as instrumental in brokering a cut in global oil production last year. King Salman is expected to ask Russian President Vladimir Putin for his support to keep the cuts in place ahead of an OPEC meeting next month. Let's go to Paris now, and TRT World's editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, is with us. Craig, great to see you. Let's talk about Russia and Saudi Arabia. They're on opposite sides of the war in Syria, of course, but have economic considerations kind of trumped the geopolitical interests?
Well, geopolitics is a 20th century term, Azar. We're talking about geoeconomics. And this one, these deals that are going down, I was told earlier today, are keeping the folks at the State Department on the Russia and Saudi Arabia desk up late and scratching their heads. What's going on here is what the Soviets like to call active measures. This is another way for the Kremlin to exert its power abroad by going into these investments. Now, there's two things to watch out for here with all these beautiful deals that they're talking about. Are these deals going to be priced in rubles and reals, or are dollars going to be involved? Will they be going through American banks? And how many of these companies involved in these deals or their principals are on U.S. sanctions list against Russia?
Now that's interesting. So a lot of the focus of this meeting is, of course, going to be on oil and how the sovereign wealth funds are going to be investing in each other's countries. But one name keeps popping up in these discussions, Sovcomflot. Tell us a little bit about this company.
I'm waiting for the James Bond theme to come up here because Sovcomflot sounds like something out of, one of the early 1960s Fleming novels. Sovcomflot is a shipping company. It's the second largest, a company that has the second largest tanker fleet in the world. Now, what's interesting about Sovcomflot, it was to be partially privatized earlier this year, but it was put on hold. The reasons? Sanctions. They were worried. So the Russians were also looking to put this 25% of this state-owned company on offer on the New York Stock Exchange. Well, they backed out of that real quick after the Magnitsky Act and a lot of complaints coming from the U.S. Congress. So the talk is now that this will be floated on Moscow, if it's floated at all.
Now, Russia also talking about nuclear energy cooperation with Saudi Arabia. Why would the world's biggest exporter of oil need nuclear power?
Desalinization. Very power intensive, very expensive, uses a lot of oil, a lot of energy. If you can crank up some nuclear power plants to do desalinization in the Gulf region, you're probably going to get a good deal out of it and a lot of water. And that energy will also be used for irrigation, which they need.
Okay. Craig Copetas in Paris, thank you so much.